This is BDAC Math. I am Lenny Kutsia and welcome to this lesson called the Wages Journal. Well, the first question we need to ask is, what are recorded in the Wages Journal? Well, firstly, there's of course the wages, and this will consist of normal time and overtime. Your normal time will be your rate multiplied with the hours that you work, and your overtime will be your normal time multiplied by either 1.5 or 2. It just depends upon the question. Now, when you finished calculating your normal time and your overtime, you will add your normal time with your overtime to get your gross wages. Now, once you are done calculating your gross wages, you need to deduct the following. You need to deduct pay as you earn. This is the tax that all employees are liable to pay. You also need to deduct medical aid. Pension fund is also included in the deductions, Social Security, and then any other deductions that can be deducted from the wages. All of these will be your total deductions. Now, when you're done calculating your total deductions, you'll need to take your gross wages less your total deductions, and that will give you your net wage. Now, with that summary, let's go ahead and do an exercise. The information below was taken from the books of Bill the Builder for the week ending 31 March 2015. There are 2 workers and their normal time rates is as follows. Bob's normal time rate is $62 per hour and Bill's normal time rate is $56 per hour. The hours worked for the week for Bob was 41 and Bill worked 48 hours for the week. The following deductions need to be made. First, pension fund is to be deducted at 9.5% of the gross wage. Pay as you earn should be deducted at 19% of the gross wage. Bob will pay $450 million for medical aid and Bill will pay $780 for medical aid. And both of them will pay $81 million for Social Security. Now, the additional information should also be taken into account. It says a normal week consists of 40 hours. What does that mean? That means that if an employee works more than 40 hours, then that will be regarded as overtime. So here we can see Bob worked 41 hours, so 1 hour will be overtime. Bill worked 48 hours, so 8 hours will be for overtime. And overtime is paid at 1.5 times the normal time rate. What does that mean? That means that you take the normal time rate per hour and then you multiply it with 1.5 to get your overtime rate per hour. Lastly, we are required to draw up a wages journal for the week ending 31 March. Let's have a look at a standard format of a wages journal. This is a standard format of a wages journal. We will have our employees, then we will have our normal time, which consists of our hours, rate, and the amount. Then our overtime, also hours, rate, and the amount. And then the gross wages. How do we calculate our gross wages? We'll take our normal time plus our overtime, and that will give us our gross wages. And then we need to add up all our deductions. All our deductions will consist of our pension, our pay as you earn, medical aid, and Social Security. If we add these up, it will give us our total deductions. And to calculate our net wage, we will take our gross wages less our total deductions to get our net wages. Now, let's tackle this exercise. Well, firstly, we need to put in our normal time hours. And as the question states, a normal week consists of 40 hours. So we need to insert our hours in the hours column. And then afterwards, we also need to insert the rate per hour in the rate column. Now, to calculate the amount that needs to be paid per employee, we need to take our rate multiplied our hours. So we say 62 multiplied by 40. And that will give us our amount for normal time, and we do the same with bill. And then once we have done that, we can add them up into our total column. Now in our overtime column, we need to take into consideration how many hours have each employee worked excess of 40 hours. As we can see, Bob worked 41 hours. And since a normal week consists of 40 hours, we need to take 41 less 40, which will give us 1 hour for overtime. And for Bill worked 48 hours, so that will be 8 hours for overtime. Now to calculate the rate of overtime, we need to take 62 multiplied by 1.5. And if you do that, you will get $93. The same applies for Bill. We need to take 56 times 1.5. Why 1.5? Because it's stated here that overtime is paid at 1.5 times of the normal time rate. If you take 56 times 1.5, you'll get 84. And just like we did in the normal time for the amount, we say 93 times 1, which of course will give us 93, and then 84 times 8, which will give us 672, and then we can also add up these two to show the total amount paid for overtime. Now we need to calculate our gross wages. Now our gross wages is calculated by taking the overtime and adding it to the normal time. So 93 plus 2,480, and then 672 plus 2240, and then we can add these two to give us a total of 5,485. This will be the total gross wages. Now we can move on to our deductions. Our first deduction is for the pension fund. It states that 9.5% of our gross wage is to be calculated for our pension fund. So now what do? We take our gross wage, multiply that by 9.5, and then we will get our amount. The same we do for Bill. We take our gross wage multiplied by 9.5%, and then again we will complete by adding it also in our total column. And then pay as you earn. Pay as you earn is 19% of our gross wage, so we take 19% from 2,573. And then for Bill, we take 19% of 2,912, and then we add these two up in our total column. Bob will pay 440 for medical aid, and Bill will pay 780 for medical aid, and then we can add these two together to get our total. And then our last deduction is Social Security. Both of them will pay $81 for Social Security. Now that we have entered all our deductions, we can add them all up. So if you add all of these up and add all of Bill's deductions up, you will get our total deductions. And then finally we need to calculate our net wages. How do we do that? We take our gross wages less our total deductions, and we do the same for Bill, and then finally we add these two up for our total. Now as you can see, if we would have calculated our gross wages incorrectly, then our pension fund and our pay-as-you-earn will be incorrect. And if our total deductions will be incorrect, then our total net wages will also be incorrect. So be sure that you calculate your gross wages correctly by calculating your normal time correctly and calculating your overtime correctly. The wages journal is usually about 30 plus marks. So a lot of marks can be scored in the wages journal if you can just concentrate by calculating your normal time and overtime correctly, and after that calculating your pension and pay as you earn correctly from your gross wage. Calculating your gross wage is imperative to ensure that your pension and your pay as you earn is calculated correctly. I hope this lesson has helped you, and I hope this lesson will give you more confidence going in the exams and tackling a wages journal. Thanks for watching, you guys, and for more you can check out our website at www.btechmath.com, and I'll see you guys next time.